Good morning, and welcome to All People's Church, Unitarian, Universalist. All People's Church is more than a place to gather on Sundays. It is a community, a spiritual home where you may develop and deepen your gifts. We gather to feed our minds and souls that we may each become blessings to our families, to our friends, and to the larger world around us. I am Michael Zepeda, your co-celebrant for today. Our minister, Lori King Nelson, is not in the pulpit every Sunday. And this week, we welcome our guest minister, David Grable. David spent 30 years in higher education, serving for the final 23 years as Director of Extended Education for Texas Christian University. With 23 years of pastoral experience, he recently completed a tenure as the pastor for the interim at the Celebration Community Church in Fort Worth. He has also served for 13 years as the Broadway Baptist Church's Agape Meal pastor for persons experiencing homelessness. David is married to Catherine Godby, who many of you know through her work with the Justice Network of Tarrant County. We're especially pleased to welcome this morning those who have not been here before. For more information about us, please utilize the QR code found on the back of the order of service for our social media platforms. If you haven't yet done so, please sign in at the visitors table by the front door, where you can be placed on our mailing list to receive the weekly emails and the monthly newsletter. At the end of the service, please stay and join us for coffee and conversation in the library at the back of the sanctuary. Please settle comfortably now for our musical prelude.
Thank you for that beautiful prelude. George Eliot wrote these words at the end of her novel, Middlemarch. For the growing good of the world is partly dependent on unhistoric acts, and that things are not so ill with you and me as they might have been is half owing to the number who lived faithfully a hidden life and rest in unvisited tombs. May we faithfully live our hidden lives. As I like to begin each worship service with every congregation I serve, let me share these words with you. There is no place I would rather be than right here, right now, with each one of you. Let us worship together.
We now invite you to rise in body or spirit for the chalice lighting, the opening hymn, and our spoken affirmation. Our chalice lighting words come from the Reverend Scott Taylor. We light this flame in a world where so much has grown dark. May it remind us that sparks can always be struck and very little is inevitable. Most of it is mystery and magnificent surprise, which means new and yet to be imagined worlds always await. Which means a door has already swung wide, with possibility waiting on the threshold, ready to pull us through. Please join us now in singing our hymn of the month for April. The opening hymn is number 1026 in the Teal book, If Every Woman in the World. Please now join in reciting our affirmation. The words are in the order of service, and they are also projected on the screens. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve others in community, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another. Please be seated. And will the young and the young at heart are now invited to come forward to the front of the chancel for our story for all ages.
Good morning. My name is David. Would you tell me your name? I'm sorry, say it again. Good morning. And your name? Dean, good morning. Good morning, and good morning to everybody else. The rest of you I know would want to be up here, but you're not because it's very hard to get down to the floor and get back up. Young people can get down and get back up. Okay, I want to ask you a question. Okay? Do you have a mad face? When you get mad, what does your face look like? Show me what your mad face is. Ooh, okay, all right. Dean, what's your mad face? Yeah, okay. Yeah. See, I'm remembering all of these just in case. My mad face is kind of like this. All right. Show me your mad face. Oh, I know y'all can do better than that. I've seen some of your mad faces. What are the kinds of things that make you mad? That just make you angry? People being mean to you. Absolutely. That makes me mad. When somebody's mean to me, that makes me. When somebody's mean to you, that makes me mad too. When people hurt us, or where they say things that aren't kind, or when I see them hurt someone else, that makes me mad. And I put on my mad face, and I put on my mad voice, and I'm just ready to go to war with them. I'm going to battle them, all right? And so what do you want to do when somebody makes you mad? Fight them. Yes, thank you. Thank you. There's one honest person in this room this morning, and she's sitting right here. Fight them. The rest of you, I think, all feel that same way sometimes too, though. There are times, no, we're not going to punch anybody in the nose. But you walk away and you think, verbally, I wish I'd thought of this before. Yeah, you want to fight back. And then what happens when you hurt them? You get in trouble. Yeah, that's right, too. But they try to hurt you back, don't they? And when they hurt you, what do you do to them? You hurt them again. And then what happens? It's just going round and round and round and round like that, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like the song we sang a minute ago that talks about how we can maybe break those a little bit. So what are some things that we can do when we get mad? Calm down. What's a way that you can calm down? What's a way that you like to calm down? Can you think of anything? Play with your fidgets? That's a good idea. I like that. Good, good. Anybody other fidget out there? Yeah, a few of you do. I know that. You know, sometimes what I like to do is I try to ask myself, I have to take a deep breath. Kind of like we do when I did our meditation before worship started, and we breathe in love and we breathe out peace. That's really good. And I'll try to breathe a little bit, and then I'll try to imagine, why did they do that? And the first thing I always think of is, well, they just don't like me. But sometimes they do that because they're not doing well themselves. So that helps me. Now, they did something, made me mad, or sometimes I just get mad. And how do we break that? We calm down, and then how do we make peace? Say that again. We leave. We breathe. Very good. We breathe. We breathe. That's right. And then we try to not be angry and hurt them, but instead we try to make peace with them. Now, I asked you to show me your mad face, right? Show me your mad face one more time. Here's mine. Now, show me your peace face. Yeah. Yeah, that's mine too, a smile. Show me your peace face. That's what I'll leave with you today, my friends. We have a mad face that we can face the entire world with. We can choose a peace face that may change the world as well. Thank you for coming up here today. Let's go back to our seats, okay?
All People's Church is both a self-governing and a self-sustaining congregation. Through the policies we enact and the decisions that we make, we strive to fulfill the missions of our church. By conducting a pledge drive and creating a budget, we agree to volunteer time and financial resources to reach these ends. Thank you for your generosity now and throughout the year. Each week, our undesignated cash offerings are shared with a nonprofit or charitable organization. Our Share the Plate recipient for April, May, and June of this year is the Underground. The Underground is a program of a larger group called Unbound Now, whose mission is to fight human trafficking. The Underground is a safe and protective drop-in center for our community, for vulnerable youth. If you prefer, donations can be made using the QR code that is on the back of the order of service. The offering will now be gratefully received. Will the ushers please come forward?
Excellent. Choir, thank you. Our reading this morning is from the sermon, Love Your Enemies, by the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. It's not only necessary to know how to go about loving your enemies, but also to go down into the question of why we should love our enemies. I think the first reason that we should love our enemies, and I think this was at the very center of Jesus' thinking, is this: that hate for hate only intensifies the existence of hate and evil in the universe. If I hit you and you hit me and I hit you back and you hit me back and go on, you see that goes on ad infinitum. It just never ends. Somewhere, somebody must have a little sense. And that's the strong person. The strong person is the person who can cut off the chain of hate, the chain of evil. And that is the tragedy of hate, that it doesn't cut it off. It only intensifies the existence of hate and evil in the universe. Somebody must have religion enough and morality enough to cut it off and inject within the very structure of the universe that strong and powerful element of love. We must see that force begets force, hate begets hate, toughness begets toughness, and it is all a descending spiral, ultimately ending in destruction for all and everybody. Somebody must have sense enough and morality enough to cut off the chain of hate and the chain of evil in the universe. And you do that by love. May it be so.
At this time in our service, we pause to honor and give time and attention to those things most important to us. We gather here for healing and for peace in our hearts and in our world, and honor our time together with the shared stories and news from the congregation. Each week, there is a journal outside the entrance to the sanctuary where you are free to write a message of memory or hope. And we honor these messages by lighting these 3 candles next to our chalice. Also, at any time during our service, you are welcome to come forward and light a candle in our meditation center here at the side of the chancel. In today's pages of memory and hope, we wish everyone a happy Earth Day. It's April 22nd. Get out in nature, show some respect for our interdependent web. And someone has also written, remember resilience. Dark days are always followed by years of light. That is good. Let us pause for a few moments of quiet meditation to uphold and uplift the sorrows and celebrations, both spoken and unspoken among us, followed by music.
I'm tempted to suggest that we just sit and listen to music for the next 20 minutes. Are you ready for that? You could. Okay, I'm not going to put you on the spot today. Allow me a personal moment to just say thank you, and thank you for taking a chance on an old Baptist. Some of you should be nervous. I also want to recognize some folks who are with us today. I have several friends from my previous congregation who are with us this morning worshiping, and so I hope that you will seek them out after the service and welcome them. Let them know how glad you are that they're with us today. And then finally, my wife, Catherine. Wave your hand, dear, would you please, so the folks won't know where you are. Many of you know Catherine as the director of the Justice Network of Tarrant County. Many of you know her much better than you know me. After this morning, you may be grateful that you know her better than you know me, but I'm grateful that she's here today. Like many of you, I am trying to sort through my feelings over the events and experiences of the past several months. As some of you know, I was in Palestine last fall, where I witnessed firsthand what happens when a group of people are declared the other because they possess something another group wants. As a Palestinian friend in Fort Worth pointed out, regarding the occupiers of Palestine, they have created a climate of fear, a climate that leaves people unsure when or even why they might become victims. The wrong gesture, look, or response could end in a fatal encounter. That is not limited to Palestine. In our own country, there is a continuing climate of fear. Our government, with its persecution of the Prairie Land Nine, desires to make us all afraid that we will be accused of domestic terrorism if we oppose the violence of our state and nation. And I want to say to each of you that I am grateful that All People's Church has chosen not to bow to that fear, but instead you have continued to show your support for these young people who have been unjustly convicted. On Wednesday nights, the dinners you host build community, and they stand up in the face of this kind of fear. Elected and self-appointed leaders continue their assault on our trans siblings, calling them a cancer that's spreading across this country, that's going to do great damage to normal, hardworking, law-abiding people. It's a simple step from those sorts of angry words towards our trans siblings to the rest of us. Throughout Israel and Palestine, during my time there, I saw the armed military on the streets engaging in arbitrary stops and interrogations, just as we witness in our own country. I've seen children whom I played with in the village of Taipei terrorized by settlers who want to drive them and their families from their homes, their farms, their businesses, their churches, just as we are witnessing in our own country. In fearful times like this, the people of God have turned to the Psalms. When I hear and see these things, I turn to a modern psalm, Paul Simon's American Tune. I don't know a soul who's not been battered. I don't have a friend who feels at ease. I don't know a dream that's not been shattered or driven to its knees. Let me tell you a story. Being a Baptist, yes, it comes from the Bible. Psalm 137, the Israelites sang this psalm. By the waters of Babylon, we sat down and wept when we remembered home. On the willows there, we hung up our harps, for there our captors asked for songs, and our tormentors asked for mirth, singing, sing us one of those songs of home. How could we sing the Lord's song in a foreign land? They had been ripped from their homes, the only homes they had ever known, in the dead of night, and were deported to a land none of them had ever known. They had seen their houses, their businesses, their farms and groves destroyed by an enemy who wanted them to simply disappear. And then in that new land where the food was strange, the language unintelligible, and even the light of the dawn was different from the light that had greeted them on so many mornings before this disaster befell them, They were mocked by people who worshiped a strange god. Their captors taunted them to sing one of the psalms of home that proclaimed the glory and goodness of their God. But where was their God now? Even as they were told they would never go home, they vowed that they would not forget. If I forget you, O Jerusalem, let my right hand wither. Let my tongue cling to the roof of my mouth if I do not remember you, if I do not remember Jerusalem above my highest joy. This was not some natural disaster that befell them. This was the act of powerful people who wanted their farms and homes that had been in their families for generations. Even their trusted neighbors turned against them. Remember, O Lord, against the Edomites, the day of Jerusalem's fall. How the Edomites said, tear it down, down to its foundations. There is an irony in this psalm that the very people who sang it, their descendants, are doing the same thing to the people of Palestine today. And so the lament turned to anger. The people called on their God to turn against the Edomites, the neighbors who had betrayed them. And then their anger turned to a plea for violence against their enemies. In the harshest passage I think I will ever find in the Bible, these words occur. O Babylon, O daughter Babylon, you devastator. Happy shall they be who pay you back what you have done to us. Happy shall they be who take your little ones and dash them against a rock. These people taken from their homes, betrayed by their neighbors, oppressed by the powerful, called out to their God to kill the children of their enemies. Hate begats more hate, begats more hate, begats more hate. Have you ever been that angry? Honestly, search yourself for a moment. When I visited with families and pastors in Palestine, when I witnessed what they've lost, I was angry. When I hear elected officials call our trans siblings cancer, I am incensed. When I hear of how doors were smashed and children were taken zip-tied into the street in the middle of the night in Minnesota, I am furious. When I hear the stories of the Prairie Land 9, I am enraged. When I witness our government suppress the cries and laments of LGBTQ folks and black folks and brown folks and immigrants and women and so many others, I become blind with anger and cry out, how long? And in that fury, I almost understand the desire of the Israelites when they said, happy shall be they who take your little ones and dash them against a rock. It is so reasonable. It is so normal. It is so satisfying to take our suffering and turn it into a cry of vengeance. It was to angry people that these words were written in the book of Romans. Love should be shown without pretending. Hate evil and hold on to what is good. Bless people who harass you. Bless and don't curse them. Be happy with those who are happy and cry with those who are crying. Consider everyone as equal and don't think that you're better than anyone else. Instead, associate with people who have no status. Don't think that you're so smart. Don't pay back anyone for their evil actions with evil actions, but show respect for what everyone else believes is good. If possible, to the best of your ability, live at peace with all people. Don't be defeated by evil, but defeat evil with good. Sometimes that is the best you can do. The world these Roman Christians lived in was filled with violence. The Romans had no respect for the lives of others. They only respected their desire to expand and claim all the world for themselves. Their official policy was make the world Rome. And if the rest of the world resisted, then the Romans would make the world a desert and call it peace. There's little difference between the foreign policy of Rome and the current foreign policy of the United States. These Roman Christians were surrounded by the pressure to conform to this violent and inhospitable way of life. When you live surrounded by the stench of force and anger, after a time you can no longer smell it. Instead, you accept it as the norm and adjust yourself to meeting anger with anger and violence with violence. Even good people, even the best people, are induced and seduced and initiated into behaving in evil ways. When I was in Bethlehem, I met a young man named Tariq and listened as he told the story of his friendship with David. They were junior high school kids when they first met, and they bonded at a sports camp. After the summers in the sports camp, they went their separate ways and lost contact with each other until they met again at a border checkpoint in the West Bank. Tariq was crossing to see his family, and David was the guard. They embraced each other as long-lost friends and caught up with each other's lives in a joyful celebration until David asked for Tariq's identification card, looked at it, and said to his childhood friend, "You're denied entry." No reason, just you're denied. There was no anger in Tariq's voice when he told us this story, just sadness. If friendship isn't enough to overcome oppression and hatred, then what is? There is so much energy in anger and fear. And like a raging fire, it has to go somewhere. It cannot be contained. We can allow the fire of our anger to burn us out. Or we can creatively channel it into actions that bring life. We can choose a better way. As I read the words from the book of Romans, I hear the call to be transformed, to embody genuine love, mutual regard, humility, solidarity, and peace, to defeat evil not with evil, but with good, to engage to the best of our ability in making peace with all people. But how do we transcend these cycles of anger and violence? How do we do these things without becoming weak and passive? How does good defeat evil? Over the years, I've learned to embrace something I call my holy imagination. I stole this idea from African American preachers. Our holy imagination is the ability to imagine something rooted in the challenges of the real world, yet capable of giving birth to that which does not yet exist. Our holy imagination allows us to see ourselves in this web of relationships that include even our opponents, and empowers us to take the risk of stepping into the unknown territory of peacemaking and away from our fear and anger and violence. That takes a lot of holy imagination. None of this requires us to sacrifice our principles or to back down. For peacemaking is not just avoiding conflict. Peacemaking is creating justice that allows all people to flourish. Sometimes peacemaking means you stand your ground. You speak your mind. You take the consequences. But you do it with an eye towards peace and not violence. There is so much to do. I'm overwhelmed by it. Catherine and I talk about this regularly. What can we do? I feel like I ought to do something else. And when I think of that, I think of the words I read in the Call to Worship from George Eliot. For the growing good of the world is partly dependent on the number who live faithfully a hidden life. One of those hidden lives was an Austrian by the name of Franz Jagerstatter. During the Second World War, Jagerstatter, a farmer, refused to serve in the Nazi army. He was not a hero. He just believed that he shouldn't do it. In prison for his refusal, he wrote to his wife, "Is it not more Christian to offer oneself as a victim right away rather than first have to murder others who certainly have a right to live and want to live just to prolong one's own life a little while. Very few people knew of Friends. Yager's daughter, till a few years ago, Terrence Malick made a movie. But even then, it was about his hidden life. A hidden life that made a difference maybe for a handful. But for those handfuls, it meant everything. A hidden life like Leon Nasir, a young woman unjustly imprisoned for joining with others to work for justice and peace in Palestine. She sat in her living room in Birzeit, outside of Ramallah last fall with us, and told her story of imagining a different world. And for that, she was arrested. You know what her crime was? She made sandwiches for fellow students. But it was an organized activity, and she's now in an Israeli military prison. But in making those sandwiches, she did make a difference for a handful of her fellow students. A hidden life like Fakhri Abu Diab and his wife Amina, who shared with me in the rubble of their home in Silwan in Jerusalem, in East Jerusalem. Their home demolished by the army because Fakhri protested the demolition of his neighbors' homes, that they will not hate their oppressors, that they will work with others to bring peace. Fakhri and Amina are an elderly couple who lost their home, who live a hidden life, and who are doing what little they can to make a difference. These are courageous people living hidden lives while imagining and acting toward justice and peace. They do not passively accept the illegal occupation of their homes and farms, but they also do not accept the right of anyone else, Israeli or Palestinian, to act with violence toward others. They have staked their lives on this. You and I live hidden lives. We're not people of exceptional stature. We're regular folks with the same concerns about grocery prices, doctor bills, and increasingly gasoline costs. We feel the same blazing anger as the Israelites did when they were betrayed by their neighbors and friends. And we will not sit quietly while the powerful attack our trans siblings, our black and brown siblings, and us. How will you use your holy imagination to turn your anger into creative ways to make grace and love known as we work for peace and justice for all? That, by the way, is the mission statement of my previous church. Using his holy imagination, Dr. King, in the same sermon I read from earlier, wrote these words: there are 3 ways that individuals who are oppressed can deal with their oppression. One of them is to rise up against their oppressors with physical violence and corroding hatred. Another way is to acquiesce and to give in, to resign yourself to the oppression. I've seen both of these reactions in Palestine and in our own country. And Dr. King continued, but there is another way, and that is to organize mass nonviolent resistance based on the principle of love. It seems to me that this is the only way as our eyes look to the future. As we look out across the years and across the generations, let us develop and move right here. We must discover the power of love, the redemptive power of love. And when we discover that we will be able to make of this old world a new world, we will be able to make us better. Love is the only way. Our holy imaginations tell us that love is not passive, it is active. Love does not just sit back and wish well, but it engages. Love takes risks. Love steps out. Love marches when the rain is pouring down. Love makes meals when people are hungry. Love speaks in the streets when people are being unjustly persecuted. Love is the only way. So we will use our holy imaginations to channel our anger into something creative, something powerful, something good. For only love will defeat the evil around us. to the best of our ability, we will live at peace with others. This is the good news. I invite us to embrace this good news together. If you would take your hymnals, and let's sing as our closing hymn, number 170. We are a gentle, angry people.
May this flame that has brightened our time together warm our hearts, light our paths, and inspire our vision as we once again go our separate ways.
Normally I would sing this blessing, but my voice is not working this morning, so I'll share it with you instead. It's an old Irish blessing that has meant so very much to me over the years. May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. May the rain fall softly on your fields, and until we meet again, may you keep safe in the gentle, loving arms of this community and of God. We invite you to share coffee and fellowship in the library right back there. We hope you'll stay for a while, because that's an important part of our worship too, is community.